in this election.
If Donald Trump wins, we're not going to be able to replace our leaders through the vote. It's going to be suppressed. You're going to be dealing with a power grab, possibly military action to maintain power. You know, he has said, and he will do what he said, that he wants to become, you know, like Russia.
Democracy is the will of the majority overcoming the will of the minority, right? But our country is founded on a constitutional republic, which is the will of the people is protected from government. I think that's the real core fundamental issue here. My Second Amendment rights are at stake. We talked about freedom of speech earlier, right? But I specifically recall 3 years ago when the insurrection happened, I remember the censorship came from Democrats.
When you said insurrection, you did air quotes. Why?
So the most armed group of folks in America, conservatives, show up to the White House, or to the Capitol rather, unarmed, and you claim that they committed an insurrection. I think we had an incredibly passionate group of people there concerned about the election that took place. But I would hardly call it an insurrection.
We had people barging into the Capitol with twist tie to arrest folks. They were in military camouflage. They attacked the Capitol and killed Capitol Police, you know, broke through doors, like trespassing, yelling for the head of the vice president. I mean, that was an insurrection if there was ever an insurrection.
How much will...
This lady does not know what the term insurrection means. She actually needs to look it up. Violent uprising and with arms in an attempt to overthrow the government. I word salad it up a little bit, but that's closer to a definition of insurrection than anything she was discussing. That was a riot that got out of hand, is what that was. If you want to call balls and strikes, there was definitely some impassioned people there. There were some bad actors there. There were some perpetrators there that pretended to be Trump supporters there, and on that fact alone, not including all the Nancy Pelosi, not letting the National Guard be there, Mayor Bowser doing her best to keep protections at the Capitol at a minimum. There were so many things that happened that day that just don't add up that it was Trump's fault. And we all know this by now. But this lady here, she's drinking the Kool-Aid. She has no doubt in her mind it's Trump's fault what happened at the Capitol. She has seen the insurrection footage about 1,000 times too many. She's in a bubble. And you kind of wonder how people get so far gone that they believe everything that they hear on the media. I don't believe everything I hear on any news media outlet. I look around and see if there's two versions of the same story, because not all conservative news is accurate. Most mainstream media news is inaccurate. And that's the best I got at this point. I got to weed through it myself to find out who is being biased at times, because I'm not trying to convince y'all of something that is not true. I'm just trying to lay out what I see is a story. All right, folks, let's get back into it.
January 6th play into who you vote for?
Good question.
You know, I come from Mexico. I was born there. And seeing a lot of Latin American countries, you know, they had governments that have been toppled. You know, people, you know, don't have enough money, enough food, because governments end up staying in power, right? And you end up seeing governments that are corrupt and things like that.
How important is it for the supporters of the person who doesn't win to accept those results when they happen?
I think it's pretty important, and historically in this country, that's what we've done. In fact, I would even say that the only times that in my life that I've seen where folks protested elections were when Democrats lost. I remember when George Bush won Florida. I believe that was year 2000-ish.
Bush Gore.
I specifically recall the uproar that was. And I remember when Hillary lost to Donald Trump. And she said, it's impossible, it can't be. But nonetheless, the American public accepted.
She did accept the election results.
She did.
And Donald Trump has not accepted the election results.
And the American people did. Well, Donald Trump is exercising his rights.
You bring up Democrats, you know, protesting the election results, and Stacey Abrams did the same thing for many months. She claimed that the elections were not correct, that they weren't right.
We need to worry about if former President Trump doesn't win and he is going to do what he said he's going to do if he
This lady is terrified.
doesn't win, and there's going to be blood on the streets. He's going to call for his supporters to go out and be violent, to, I don't know, have another insurrection. I mean, that's what we need to worry about. You don't have to worry about the Democrats, going nuts.
How much does, and I know I may be opening a
We don't have to worry about the Democrats going nuts. What we got to worry about is the Trump supporters with them American flags in the back of their trucks. That's the real threat to democracy. This lady's been drinking the Kool-Aid way too long.
can of worms with this question, but Donald Trump is, of course, indicted here in the state of Georgia on racketeering charges that he and a group of 18 others tried to undermine the results in Georgia. But how much does that story impact your vote, what you think of former President Trump?
None.
It really doesn't impact it as much either. I don't believe that it will stop him from running for president and becoming president. I'm not concerned about those cases. He hasn't been convicted on those.
It wouldn't change my mind. I still don't like Donald Trump, so I think it goes the same way for Republicans and Democrats. I don't think it will matter whether or not he is indicted or not. I mean, people have their own opinions already, and I think that's how it's going to be.
Well, thank you all so much for taking the time to come in and do this.
So we have the black lady who seems very smart, knows what she's talking about, and had the facts about Stacey Abrams spot on. The other black person on the panel, definitely a Trump supporter. He wouldn't call the insurrection because of the facts that he probably knows watching conservative media. Then you got the Latino guy that says he wasn't born in this country, so he's probably not a citizen, possibly not a citizen. And he hates Donald Trump. Maybe not for the propaganda reason that this Oriental lady does. Maybe he had as much CNN and MSNBC as she has. But he knows that he's going to close the border and possibly prevent more of his people from coming. That's incentive enough for a lot of people to not vote for Trump if you're trying to get the rest of your 900 family members here ASAP. Trump getting back in office would put a big damper on that. Or if you've already got family members here that have come across illegally in the last 3 years, that would factor in as well. These are just my speculations. Now, this lady here, she's just too far gone. I don't know what to say for her. Hopefully, she will have a great awakening in her life and realize that she's been lied to. Donald Trump is not the existential threat to mankind. He is not Hitler 2.0. And you kind of wonder how people get so far gone that they end up like this lady over here, this Oriental lady over here on the left. And I wonder, how does somebody get that deep into the woods with this propaganda? And then I run across a video like this. Let me back this down a little bit. I've never seen this guy before. His name is Belshi. He is obviously a MSDNC reporter. And he does a once-a-week show over on the Communist Network. And he is really, really got the Trump derangement syndrome, like almost like no one else. He's got it like Morning Joe, just hating on it. All right, here we go, folks. Apologize. Now listen to this wackadoodle. Now this is how people like that Oriental lady end up with the mindset they do. Now, this is a little bit of brainwashing material. This is not for y'all to believe. This is to let y'all know this is what we're dealing with to those people that sit at home and watch scare tactic TV. This is why. This is the very reason why that lady is the way she is. People like this right here, lying in her ear.
And present. But we seem to have lost sight of all of this in the last 9 days for some valid reasons. Since President Joe Biden's performance in the first presidential debate, there's been much debate.
Let me start this over.
Those of us who see Donald Trump as a threat to democracy agree that he must be defeated in November. From trying to overturn the last election he lost to promising to use the force of law to exact revenge on his enemies if he returns to power, to the 900-plus page playbook known as Project 2025, which lays out a detailed plan for seizing and consolidating power.
Now, you see what he's doing here. He's linking Trump to this Project 2025 that we all know is not Trump's plan. They know it too. While he shows a guy in the Capitol with the rebel flag as he's talking about Trump and the insurrection. As he's got Putin and Trump on a poster board, enemy, traitor. And this is just the first 20 seconds into the clip. This guy is straight pumping this garbage into the ears and minds of anybody that will listen. Now, this is not so much for y'all to believe, but to understand what we're dealing with. Understand why so many people hate Trump. People like this guy right here is why they hate Trump.
The danger is clear and present. But we seem to have lost sight of all of this in the last 9 days for some valid reasons. Since President Joe Biden's performance in the first presidential debate, there's been much debate among the punditry about his competency to run, along with justified anger toward the team that surrounds him. But without dismissing the legitimacy of those concerns, this election remains about one thing and one thing only: the threat of losing our democracy. And that is where our efforts at convincing one another need to be spent. You can list all of Biden's flaws, and you'd still be left with the same conclusion. Only one of the two main presidential candidates poses an existential threat to democracy. No doubt Biden's debate performance was a collective shock to the system, in part a consequence of mounting frustrations in recent years that reached a climax that evening. Since witnessing a mob of...
Do you notice that he pans from what happened at the Capitol to racist background scenes like rebel flags and homophobic slurs on poster boards? He is literally going back to back to back with the negativity to corroborate his narrative. He thinks he's clever.
Of extremists overtake the nation's capital, we've been battered by a series of events that have shaken this nation's foundations to its core. From the battle to rewrite American history in our schools, to book bans and organized...
Yeah, talk about the book bans, dude. Tell us what the real reason we don't want the books in school. It's not Huckleberry Finn we have a problem with. It's that let's turn our kids gay we have a problem with. Be honest, guys.
Efforts led by extremist judges, attorneys general, and Christian nationalists to forces to roll back civil rights. Before we can fully process one crisis, we're hit with another. For so long, many of us naively believed that our democracy is infallible.
Christian nationalists. Is that a bad word? I don't even really know what that is, but it doesn't sound so bad to me. Bands off my body. You see, he's promoting the abortion thing, of course. This here is a leg of the Democrat Party, no doubt about it. And this guy is doing a great job of trying to pump their propagandist garbage. To the listeners, I just brought it to y'all for mostly entertainment reasons and for just so how we know to reach the people that are stuck on stupid listening to this garbage.
These threats can never flourish here. But the actions of extremists in recent years, with the help from the Supreme Court, have shattered that illusion, leading us to this moment. The current rage, the confusion, the bickering are all different and valid manifestations of our collective anguish. We grieve that our 248-year-old democracy has reached this precarious point, teetering on the edge of uncertainty. But now more than ever, it's crucial that we hold our ground. No. It's crucial that we maintain perspective. Whatever happens with Biden, whether he steps aside or stays the course, the Democratic nominee, any Democratic nominee, will be a better option than the alternative, which is the downfall of American democracy. None of this dismisses the legitimacy of concerns about Biden. None of this absolves the media and the Democratic establishment of their failures. Understanding how we reach this point demands a reckoning that must occur, but American politics right now is a big building on fire, and discussing whether the building had enough sprinklers in it is not the discussion for right now.
Ooh, this is damage control for the debate, buddy. It ain't working for you. We already seen what we saw. The building is still on fire. No doubt about it. This is why people are like that crazy Oriental lady in the first take. They believe every word coming out of people like this guy's mouth. This guy is fear mongering. He's lying. He's got false flag scenery in the background in order to pump the narrative. As good as it gets, right here, folks. This is what mainstream media has been doing for the most part of 7 years to all the couch potatoes that think this is the truth. This stuff will rot your brain, folks. I've had enough of it. How about y'all? Just want to give you all an example of what we're fighting against here. Why that Chinese lady, Oriental lady, is the way she is. Now, I got a few more takes I want to bring to y'all today. Now, this one here is comical as could be. Now, there was an original interview between Nancy Pelosi and Jen Psaki. They were talking about Trump's immunity charges, and I went and watched that. Nancy didn't say a whole lot that I thought was entertaining or even worth talking about. But this guy from Finance 5, Fin 5 is the channel, started putting out political memes and political short clips a little while back. And I found several of them funny lately. So I figured I'd share one with y'all today where he actually put himself in the clip as a news commentator. This is beautiful, folks. I love it. I love it. I learned something here. Hopefully, I'll be able to do the same type thing. I want to steal this idea because it's a good one. Here we go. I'll show you what I'm talking about.
It was terrible. His denial and his delay on COVID killed people. What he did on January 6th, people died or were hurt. This is a dangerous person and evil.
Mrs. Pelosi, look, when Trump suspended flights from China and other countries, your party called him a xenophobe and a racist. And while that was happening, you downplayed the virus by encouraging people to flood into Chinatown. In fact, here is your exact quote. We do want to say to people, come to Chinatown. Here we are. Come join us. Okay? Now, with January 6th, again, Trump offered you 10,000 soldiers. You turned it down. And now you're even on tape in a documentary with your daughter admitting that you were responsible for it. So these are facts. And I would say, honestly, if you put down the bottle for a...
It was terrible. His denial. And it was terrible.
I wish he was a great president. I would rather have that. I wouldn't be here. I don't mind being here. But the only reason I'm here is he's so bad as a president that I'm going to make America great again. We're going to make America great again.
Baby, understand me now. If sometimes you see that I'm mad, don't you know no one alive can always be an angel? When everything goes wrong, you see some bad. But I'm just a soul whose intentions are good. I'm just a soul whose intentions are good. I'm just a soul, just a soul, just a soul, just a soul, just a soul whose intentions are good.
Like, subscribe, and share. Devoted Patriots. Everybody tell me what you think about these video clips I've been putting together lately. Been trying to do a little more diverse job and bringing y'all stuff in different directions. A little bit of news that's not always on the normal places. Everybody have a great day. Over and out.